The episode begins with Chihan apologizing to Alia, but she tells him not to. He insists that she, too, should apologize, explaining that at the very moment he intended to confess his love, he buried his words deep within his heart. He says she refused to hear him then, and now she is leaving. Chihan tells her that he fell in love with her from the very first moment he saw her, though he had denied it to himself and never managed to escape that love. He reminds her of how special she is and pleads with her not to leave. Alia replies that she cannot travel and leave him behind anyway. She laughs, saying, "Look, the gate is closed," and he rejoices, thanking God. The airport security guard asks them to move along and not forget their child. They realize Denise has fallen asleep and gently wake him before leaving. Chihan thanks the security officer for allowing him to enter, promising he will never forget the favor and will repay him someday. Meanwhile, Sadakat shows Mina the room she had prepared for her baby, though Chihan had refused to let her stay. Mina insists that she will furnish it according to her own taste. Sadakat asks Peikais to help with the arrangements before stepping out. Mina sits, filled with joy, places her hands on her belly and whispers, "We did it, my dear. I brought you to the place you deserve." Chihan leaves the airport with Alia and Denise. Alia asks what will happen now. Chihan replies, "Whatever happens, happens. As long as we are together, that's what matters most." She asks, "Are you sure we can make it?" And he answers, "I'm not sure of anything except that I never want to lose you." She responds, "Nor do I." Kaya, the elder, and Kadir see them and are overjoyed that Alia and Denise didn't leave, and that Chihan reached them in time. Kaya runs to Denise, lifts him up, and says to Alia, "We could never bear this town without you." The others echo his words. Kaya then informs Chihan that Mina hasn't left the mansion. Chihan replies firmly, she will leave no matter what. Kaya also tells him they haven't been able to reach Nara. Alia turns to him in surprise and asks, "She got married?" He replies, "Yes, she married Shaheen." Kaya is shocked, repeating, "How? How could that happen?" and nearly loses control. Chihan tells him to calm down, promising they will discuss it at the mansion. Kaya mutters angrily, "Just wait. Nara, I'll deal with you." At the same time, Shaheen's mother calls him, asking him to come and greet his father, but his phone is switched off. She becomes furious, and Zirin tries to calm her while preparing the dinner table. Suddenly, Shaheen and Nara walk in, he in a suit, and she in her white wedding dress. Both mothers are stunned. Zirin asks, "Where have you two come from?" Shaheen's mother exclaims, "Good heavens! Speak!" Shaheen asks her to calm down, but she grows more agitated, shouting, "Don't call me mother, and take your hand off her immediately." He insists that she listen, but she refuses. When she keeps shouting, he loses his temper and declares, "I will never let go of her. She's my wife now." Everyone is shocked. Shaheen continues, "Why are you all so surprised? This is what should have happened from the beginning." His mother breaks down, yelling and trying to throw Nara out. Suddenly, Ajmal appears, having just been released from prison. Everyone freezes. Ajmal says to his son, "Yes, I'm out. Aren't you happy?" Shaheen hugs him, overjoyed. Ajmal then notices Nara and asks what is happening. Fidan quickly lies, saying, "Nothing. She was just leaving." But Shaheen replies firmly, "Leaving? She's not going anywhere. Nara and I are married." To everyone's astonishment, Ajmal does not get angry. Instead, he says calmly, "Good, you did the right thing." His wife protests in disbelief, but he silences her, saying, "Enough. I've left the darkness behind and want to begin a new chapter. Let the past stay in the past." He extends his hand for Nara to kiss, and though she is humiliated, Shaheen urges her, "Please, everything will be fine." Nara reluctantly kisses his hand, full of silent pain. Meanwhile, Sadakat is shocked to see Chihan returning to the mansion with Alia and Denise. Denise greets her cheerfully, "Hi, Grandma. We're back." She welcomes him lovingly, but turns to Chihan in tears, afraid for her grandson's safety. "Why did you do this, my son?" she asks. Chihan replies, "I did what was right. I brought my wife and child back to where they belong." He sends Denise off with Peikais and Omu, who are thrilled by his return. Sadakat warns Alia, "This wasn't our agreement. Why would you risk your child?" Chihan then asks Peikais where Mina is. She answers, upstairs, asleep. He says, "Good. I'll wake her and talk to her calmly." He goes upstairs, followed by Alia, then Kaya and Sadakat. Elsewhere, Ajmal instructs Shaheen and Nara to go kiss Fiden's hand as well. Fiden refuses, shouting, "You expect me to bless the daughter of a snake?" Ajmal snaps, "Be silent and do as I say." She reluctantly extends her hand, turning her face away as they kiss it. Ajmal continues mockingly, "Now I expect you to give me another grandchild soon. Let's all sit and eat. May happiness fill our home." At that moment, they knock on Mina's door. She opens it, shocked to see Alia standing before her. "What are you doing here?" she demands. Chihan replies sternly, "The question is, what are you doing here? This is my home, and she is my wife." Mina retorts, "Your child is in my womb." Chihan responds coldly, "That doesn't justify your deceit." Mina threatens, "If Alia doesn't leave this house, I'll go straight to Ajmal and tell him everything." Chihan dares her, "Go on, do it." Sadakat and Alia try to calm him, but he insists, "I know exactly what I'm doing." He repeats to Mina, "Go, tell him everything." Sadakat warns Mina, "If you do that, I'll kill you." Mina sneers, "You can't touch me. I'm carrying his child. None of you can harm me, but I can destroy you all." Looking straight into Chihan's eyes, she says, "So you fear nothing anymore?" He replies, "I do. I fear only losing Alia, because I love her deeply." Mina is shattered by his words. Chihan turns to his mother and declares, "Did you hear me? I love Alia." He repeats it again and again, his voice unwavering. He said to her, "Let everyone hear and understand clearly that I love Alia, my wife and the mother of my son." Mina responded, "But you once said you could never love anyone." He replied, "I was mistaken. I could not stand against my own heart." With clear provocation, Mina said, "So you go back on your word? And Alia, how admirable of her to fall in love with her husband's brother." Alia, deeply offended, stepped forward, took Chihan's hand, and said firmly, "Yes, I love him with all my heart." Sadakat was stunned. Chihan then turned to Mina and said, "You've got your answer now. Go ahead, tell Ajmal everything if you wish. But remember this, no matter what happens, I will never abandon Alia." They stepped aside to let Mina pass. She tried to leave but collapsed to the floor in despair. Alia, Sadakat, and Kaya rushed to her aid, carried her to her room, and examined her. Alia checked on both Mina and the baby, assuring everyone that the child was perfectly fine. A doctor was called to examine Mina further. Chihan then said to Alia, "Come, let us go." Sadakat stopped him, asking, "And if she truly goes to Ajmal?" Chihan replied calmly, "Do not worry. We are prepared for anything." He took his wife's hand, and they left the room together. Later, Sadakat went back to Mina, threatened her sternly, and left. Mina remained broken and resentful. Sadakat then found Shamus, one of their men, and ordered him, "Do not take your eyes off her. If she tries to leave, inform me immediately." Meanwhile, in the car, Alia, Chihan, and Sadakat sat in silence. Sadakat began lamenting, her fear growing that Mina might reveal everything to Ajmal. She turned to Alia and said, "You should have left. Why did you endanger your child by coming back?" Alia stayed silent, but as Sadakat continued to pressure her, she finally burst out, "Your son, Baran, is the reason for all this. He forced me to marry Chihan, even after his death." Sadakat replied coldly, "Yes, you married him, but love was never part of that deal." Chihan grew angry, stopped the car abruptly, and shouted, "Enough, mother! Be silent!" Alia calmed him down, and they continued their journey. Sadakat then asked about Nara, but the two exchanged uneasy glances, unable to answer. She sensed they were hiding something and pressed them for the truth, but neither spoke. Elsewhere, Fidden was already feeling uneasy about her new life, and Ajmal suggested that they move away for some time. Zirin bid them farewell, pretending to be happy for them, though deep inside she felt crushed. After they left, Zirin turned to her parents and said bitterly, "If I had secretly married him, would you have accepted it?" Her mother scolded her sharply, saying, "That's all we were missing now." But Zirin insisted on asking her father directly. Her father replied sternly, "Impossible. Nara came here to this mansion, but if it were you, you'd have gone to their cursed palace. The child in your womb would have carried Kaya's blood, and I could never have allowed that." Demir entered and greeted them. Ajmal asked Zirin to prepare coffee for everyone. Meanwhile, Sadakat, Cihan, and Alia returned to the mansion. Sadakat saw Ajmal's guards at the gate and grew anxious. "What is happening?" she whispered. Alia and Cihan knew the truth, but dared not tell her. Inside, they came face to face with Shaheen and Nara. Sadakat exploded, shouting, "What is going on here?" Nara trembled with fear as Shaheen took her hand reassuringly. Sadakat yelled, "Remove your hands from each other immediately." Nara tried to calm her, saying, "Please, mother, listen to me." Her mother retorted, "Listen to what? Who is this man for you to hold his hand like that?" Shaheen spoke firmly, "I am her husband." Sadakat was struck speechless. Nara confirmed his words, and Sadakat shouted, "You have destroyed everything. You have disgraced our family's honor. This shame must end right here." She tried to drag her daughter away, but Shaheen stopped her and declared, "Whether you accept it or not, Nara is now my lawful wife." Sadakat refused to accept this, trembling with rage. Nara pleaded with Cihan for help, and both she and Shaheen begged him to accept their marriage and their love. In tears, Nara cried out, "I have never asked for anything in my life except Shaheen. I want nothing else, only him." Shaheen turned to Cihan and said, "Put yourself in my place. If you approve of our love, I promise I will withdraw my claim for the inheritance." Sadakat interrupted bitterly, "As if your father would ever allow it, or even allow my son to stay in that house." Shaheen replied, "Please, madam, I will speak to him. He's not the same man he once was." Cihan, however, refused their plea. "This marriage cannot stand," he said. "You must separate." Shaheen was devastated. "I thought of you as my brother, trusted you, and this is what you do. You've betrayed me and the love I have for your sister." Nara wept uncontrollably. "Why are you doing this to me? All I want is a little happiness, some peace. Is that so hard?" Cihan answered with solemn gravity, "Because the one who killed Baran was Ajmal." At these words, Nara, Shaheen, and Sadakat froze in shock. Shaheen exclaimed, "You've lost your mind. Hamada confessed in front of all of us that Nadim was the killer." Cihan replied, "That man wasn't Hamada. None of us had ever seen the real Hamada before. Only Alia had met him. She was the only one who recognized him." Alia nodded, saying, "Yes, we saw him today in Meadow." Sadakat asked in disbelief, "Then where's the real Hamada?" Cihan answered quietly, "I couldn't reach him in time. They executed him in Syria." Sadakat broke down, cursing Ajmal in despair. Shaheen turned to Alia and asked, "Are you sure?" She replied firmly, "I'm certain." Shaheen protested, "There's no evidence proving my father is the killer." Cihan said, "True, there is no evidence, but I am as certain of it as I am of seeing you standing before me right now." She tells her family that, in truth, nothing has yet been confirmed. Her mother continues to pressure her until Nara finally takes Shaheen and leaves. Cihan and the others follow them but fail to stop them. The men raise their weapons against Shaheen, who in turn points his gun back at them. Cihan and Sadakat plead with Nara to come with them, but Shaheen insists that she stay by his side. Nara restrains herself, chooses Shaheen, and declares to her brother that he is her husband. Cihan, deeply hurt, tells her, "From this day forward, I am no longer your brother, and this palace is no longer your home." He orders everyone to lower their weapons. When Nara approaches him, he pushes her back. Sadakat and Alia try to calm him, but he refuses to listen, demanding that Nara leave immediately. Heartbroken, she departs with Shaheen. Sadakat is overcome with grief, faints, and is carried to her room. Meanwhile, Nara sits in the car crying uncontrollably. Sadakat continues to lament her daughter's choices while Kaya, Alia, and Cihan attempt to calm her down for fear that her blood pressure will rise again. In her anguish, she accuses Cihan and Alia of betraying Baran. Cihan, furious, insists that what happened was not betrayal. Alia leaves the room silently, while Cihan tries to reason with his mother, explaining that they did not betray Baran and that she must accept the reality of the situation. He leaves, and Kaya angered by his mother's harshness, warns her to watch her words, saying, "Frankly, we have all grown tired of you." He too leaves the room. Alia stands on the balcony, lost in thought. Jihan joins her quietly, sharing her silence and sorrow. She leans gently on his back, offering comfort. They hold hands, finding solace in each other's presence. Elsewhere, Ajmal tells Demir that he feels truly sorry for his father and hopes for his recovery. Shaheen and Nara return home exhausted and broken. Shaheen tells his father that neither Jihan nor Sadakat has accepted their marriage. Ajmal pretends to be disappointed, but Nara confronts him directly, accusing him of killing her brother. He denies it. Shaheen and Nara explain what Jihan had told them, causing Ajmal and Fidden to grow furious, calling it a false accusation. Demir warns Ajmal that if he is truly responsible for the murder, he will make him regret it for the rest of his life. Ajmal continues to deny it, and Fidden expels Nara from the house. Nara runs out in tears, followed by Shaheen, who calms her down, comforts her, and carries her in his arms, making her laugh before they leave together. Back at the palace, Alia takes care of her appearance, while Sadakat calls Shamus to ask about Mina. Jihan enters and firmly warns his mother not to do anything that might upset Alia, declaring that he will not tolerate such behavior again. He then leaves, and Sadakat sits in silence, unable to bear herself. Jihan goes to Alia's room, takes her hand, and they go downstairs, where the elderly man, his wife, Kadir, and Kaya are having dinner. They invite them to join, but Jihan politely declines and takes Alia to the kitchen. There, he sits with Denise while Alia prepares their favorite food. They share a warm, familial evening filled with laughter and joy. Meanwhile, Shaheen surprises Nara at a hotel with a beautifully romantic atmosphere. They share tender moments, reaffirming their love and vowing to stay together forever. Elsewhere, Fidden and Ajmal are at home. Ajmal eventually falls asleep, leaving her alone. Jihan, unsure whether to sleep in his room or with Alia, paces nervously while Alia herself is anxious outside his door. Eventually, she enters. Jihan asks about Denise, and she replies that he has gone to sleep but was exhausting. Both are tense, speaking aimlessly until they recall the pain and tragedies they have endured, including the time Alia shot him. Yet despite everything, love found its way to them. They marvel at how they fell in love at first sight despite their hardships. Jihan kisses her forehead tenderly, and she blushes. As he turns to leave, he reminds her, "Do you remember what I said in court? I told you I wrote it with Errol, but in truth, those words came from my heart." She smiles and replies, "It was obvious." They bid each other good night. Jihan sleeps on the couch as always, but is soon haunted by a nightmare. Someone snatches Alia away from him, and in his rage, he kills the man, only to discover it was his brother, Buran. Buran asks him, "How could you do this to me?" before dying in his arms. Jihan awakens in terror, screaming. Alia rushes to him, calms him, brings him water, and he confides, "I saw Buran in my dream, he blamed me again." She reassures him, saying, "I know it's painful, but we did nothing wrong. We haven't forgotten him. We are simply trying to live again, to start over." They open their hearts to one another and confess their love once more. Alia tells him softly, love is not a sin. As she gets up to let him rest, he gently holds her back and says, "Good night." The next morning, Alia wakes to find his bed empty. Jihan has gone to his brother's grave. He speaks to Buran's tombstone, apologizing and pouring out his guilt. As he leaves, a strange woman appears, places a flower on the grave, and hurries away when she notices him watching. He follows her, but she disappears. Looking down at the flower, he murmurs, "Who could she be?" Later, Alia joins the family for breakfast. Denise, Sadakat, and Kaya are already at the table when Jihan arrives. Denise innocently asks about Nara, prompting Sadakat to grow angry so early in the morning. Alia calmly explains to her son that Nara and Shaheen are married and now live in their own home. The boy asks, "Why didn't we go to the wedding?" She answers tenderly, "Because there wasn't one, my love. If there had been, we surely would have gone." Denise then says to his grandmother, "Mom calls him Jihan now," leaving Sadakat speechless while everyone bursts into laughter. The elderly man then informs them that Nadim has been moved out of intensive care, and they all decide to visit him at the hospital. They set off together, and Sadakat orders her men to prepare her car so she can go too. At the hospital, Cihan, Alia, and Kaya find Demir and Zirin already there. Demir scolds them harshly, while Nadim insists that they wronged him. Cihan asks Alia to step outside, closes the door, and tells Nadim that they had all been deceived. Kaya angrily declares that the dishonorable Ajmal had tricked them and was the true killer of Buran. Zirin tries to calm him, urging him not to accuse without proof, but Kaya snaps at her to be silent. Demir, furious, reminds Kaya that his father suffered because of their actions. As tensions rise, Alia enters to restore peace. Finally, Cihan turns to Demir and says solemnly, "If an apology is necessary, then I offer it. But the truth is, they played us all. They used Hamada in their scheme, and they used you as well." Demir, enraged, retorts, "You still have the audacity to speak? After Buran killed my uncle, you dare come here." Barely holding herself together. Back at Mina's house, Mina feigns illness, pretending that something is wrong with her unborn child to make her captors open the locked door. When they finally do, she strikes the guard, escapes, and drives away. Meanwhile, Cihan, driving with his men, spots the mysterious woman who had visited Buran's grave. He immediately orders the driver to stop and rushes toward her, demanding, "Who are you? Why did you place a flower on Buran's grave? And why did you flee when you saw me?" The woman replies calmly, "I am the wife of the man buried there," and walks away, leaving Cihan stunned and speechless. Before he can follow her, Alia calls him urgently, saying, "Come back to the palace. Someone is here to see you." The visitor is Mina. Cihan ends the call, visibly tense. Kaya asks, "Who is that woman?" But Cihan remains silent, gets into the car, and drives off angrily. Upon arriving at the palace, he finds Mina waiting. "What are you doing here?" he demands. Mina answers, "Ask your mother. She threatened me with my daughter." Sadakat begins to threaten Mina again, and Alia intervenes, advising Mina to stay calm. Mina, however, lashes out at her and begins insulting her. Cihan, losing his temper, grabs Mina by the arm and says, "You're coming with me to Ajmal. You can tell him everything and be done with it." Alia follows them in alarm. When they arrive at Ajmal's mansion, Cihan turns to Mina and gives her two choices. "Either you go inside and tell him everything, or you hand me the documents and stay silent forever." Filled with malice, Mina chooses to go inside to expose everything to Ajmal. Alia pleads with her not to do it, but Mina snarls, "You're the reason for all of this." She gets into her car, attempting to run Alia over. Alia falls to the ground in terror, but just as the car speeds toward her, Cihan rams Mina's car with his own, saving Alia's life.